In Microsoft 365, identity is the new security perimeter. If attackers steal or bypass credentials, they can reach far beyond a single app. We'll begin by hardening Entra ID with stronger sign-ins, fewer legacy paths, and a foundation for smarter access control. Module 1 gave us the strategy. Understand the Microsoft 365 risk landscape, apply zero trust, assess gaps, and plan capabilities. Now we turn that strategy into enforcement. In Module 2, identity becomes the control plane for verification. Least privilege, conditional access, privileged access, risk signals, and guest or app access. Think of Microsoft Entra ID as the security control plane for Microsoft 365. Before someone reaches email, files, Teams, Defender, or an admin portal, identity helps decide who they are, what device they are using, which app they can access, and what privileges they receive. That is why credential theft is so damaging. One compromised account can become a path into many workloads. By hardening identity first with strong authentication, risk signals, and conditional access, you reduce that path early. Workload-specific controls then start from a much stronger foundation. Authentication hardening is not just turning on MFA. It starts with governing the menu of available methods. In Entra ID, authentication methods policies let you approve specific methods for specific groups. Privileged and high-risk users should move first to phishing-resistant, passwordless options, such as FIDO2 keys, passkeys, or certificate-based authentication. Weaker methods like SMS and voice should be limited, monitored, and tied to clear exceptions. A good model also accounts for role, device readiness, user support, and recovery paths. Governance keeps convenience from becoming an unmanaged security gap. Passwordless works best as a rollout strategy, not a single setting. Start by assessing which methods fit your users: Microsoft Authenticator, FIDO2 keys, Windows Hello for Business, or certificates. Then pilot with high-value groups such as admins, executives, finance, security, and remote workers. Use the pilot to test the sign-in experience, help desk procedures, and account recovery. As confidence grows, expand adoption and enforce passwordless where appropriate. The goal is to reduce password reliance, not simply add another MFA prompt. Keep password protection, smart lockout, and monitoring in place because legacy paths may still be targeted. Microsoft Authenticator is strongest when it is more than a simple approve button. Number matching requires the user to confirm the actual sign-in, which helps stop MFA fatigue attacks. Contextual prompts show the application and location, so users can spot activity that does not fit. For managed populations, passwordless phone sign-in can remove the password from the flow entirely. Operations matter here as well. Track registrations, stale methods, unusual prompt patterns, and adoption gaps. Strong MFA depends on secure configuration and continuous monitoring. FIDO2 security keys take authentication beyond passwords and codes. The user must have the physical key, and the sign-in is cryptographically tied to the real service, not a lookalike phishing site. That makes these keys especially valuable for administrators, emergency access accounts, and other high-risk roles. In Entra ID, you can control who may use keys, which models are allowed, and how backup and recovery are handled. Certificate-based authentication raises assurance by proving possession of a private key tied to a trusted certificate. That trust starts with a well-run PKI, secure issuance, protected storage, and clear identity mapping. During sign-in, Entra ID validates the certificate chain, checks policy and revocation status, and then grants access to Microsoft 365 or other apps. The key point is that certificates are not magic on their own. Their strength depends on lifecycle management, renewal, key protection, and integration with conditional access, MFA requirements, and device or network controls. SMS and voice MFA still reduce risk compared with passwords alone, but they are not strong enough for high-value access. Codes can be intercepted, phone numbers can be taken over through SIM swapping, and attackers can pressure users or help desks into approving the wrong thing. Treat these methods as temporary coverage, not the destination. Use sign-in and authentication method reports to find who still depends on them. Then migrate those users in priority order to Authenticator apps, FIDO2 security keys, Windows Hello for Business, or certificate-based authentication. Legacy authentication is dangerous because it creates a second door into the environment, separate from the controls we rely on today. Older protocols like POP, IMAP, and SMTP auth may not fully support MFA, conditional access, or risk-based evaluation. Attackers know this, so they use password spray and credential stuffing against those paths. The main lesson is simple. Your strongest policy is only as strong as the weakest authentication route. If one legacy protocol remains enabled, it can undermine the entire identity defense strategy. Blocking legacy authentication is basic hardening. Before blocking legacy authentication, first find the real usage. Start in Entra sign-in logs and filter for legacy client apps or protocols, such as IMAP, POP, SMTP, or older Exchange clients. Pay close attention to successful sign-ins because they represent active dependencies or active risk. Then, review the user, application, IP address, location, timestamp, and activity pattern. Some results may be legitimate, such as scanners, printers, scripts, or third-party tools. Others may indicate password spraying or compromised accounts. The goal is to separate business needs from threat activity before remediation. Treat legacy authentication blocking as a rollout, not a switch flip. Use sign-in reporting to identify who still uses old protocols, which apps are involved, and whether there is a valid business need. Remediate those dependencies before enforcement. Then pilot conditional access blocks with a small group, watch for failures, and expand gradually. Where conditional access is not enough, disable protocols directly, such as SMTP auth for users or tenants that do not need it. Keep exceptions rare, owned, time-limited, monitored, and protected by compensating controls. Require MFA is a useful baseline, but it treats very different methods as if they provide the same assurance. Authentication strengths let you be more specific. A text message, an authenticator prompt, Windows Hello, FIDO2 keys, and certificate-based authentication can be separated into different quality levels. Conditional access can then match the requirement to the risk. A normal app might accept standard MFA. A privileged role, sensitive dataset, or high-risk sign-in might require passwordless or phishing-resistant authentication. Built-in strengths cover common needs, while custom strengths let the organization define its own standard for stronger protection. Authentication strengths work best when they are tied to real risk. A global administrator opening the Entra Admin Center from an unmanaged network should not be treated like a low-risk user opening email. The policy should evaluate the role, the app, the sign-in risk, and the access pattern, then require the right strength, such as phishing-resistant MFA. For sensitive systems, stronger authentication becomes the default, not the exception. Before enforcing, validate with test users, report-only mode, sign-in logs, and a rollback plan. That way, protection increases without blocking legitimate work. The foundation is now in place. Govern authentication methods, move users toward passwordless and phishing-resistant sign-in, and block legacy authentication that can bypass modern controls. With strong authentication defined, identity is ready for policy-driven access control, including conditional access, privileged access hardening, risk-based protection, and safer collaboration with guests, apps, and external users.